Hello, everyone. Hi. Happy Tuesday. I am Chef Jenny, and welcome to Homemade Cooking. Hi, Lena. Hi, friends. Hi, Dave. Hi, Diana. Hello, hello. Hi, Deb. Friends, you're here on a good day. It's cannoli day. It's my favorite day of the whole year. I'm so this might be the class that I'm most excited for. If there was a food associated with my personality, it's cannolis. So it's going to be a good one today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And not only is it good because we're making cannolis, it's good because we've got friends with us. We've got our wonderful friends at Savor. Say hello to them, please. They also are going to answer any questions if you have. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We love our friends at Savor. We also have the one who's really in charge, Chef Kat. Hi, Chef Kat.
Hi, Chef Jenny.
How you doing?
I'm so excited because you're excited, so this is gonna be good.
Because you know you're gonna eat good today, and there's frying oils,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, it pretty much smells like a carnival in here right now, so it's a good thing. Chef Kat is running the chat. She is in charge, so if you have any questions, please reach out to her. If you have any comments, reach out to her, and she'll let you in. We love interacting with you live, so please share your cameras, and we will hopefully answer any questions you have about the wonderful, the delicious, the perfection that is cannolis. Class is live. Any newcomers, like we said, please share your cameras, ask questions. Anyone cooking along with us today? I see a few people. Lena, yeah, all right, crew, snaps. Love to see it. So definitely ask questions if you're cooking along with us. We, of course, got the recipe. Chef Kat's got all the information and a link to social media for Savor, so you can get more great information from them. Please know that they do have on their site is so popular right now, it's having a few issues, but we'll link to the social. You need to pin their site because they have a cheese log in the shape of a Christmas tree. I saw it and it took my breath away. And if you think cannolis are good, you definitely should be making that as well. They've got a ton of amazing recipes on their site. We have a lot to do today, so we are gonna get into it. Are we all, I know we're a little on fumes, right? Hopefully you're here. I can take you away from distracting, having to buy last minute gifts, any perhaps recitals you have to go to where there's going to be a lot of people / children singing, maybe an uncomfortable fold-out chair. Hopefully this will be a moment of zen for you all, especially maybe going to grocery shopping, which is crazy right now. Maybe this will be a delicious hour of zen we can provide. So let's get into it. Cannolis. I've said the word roughly 50 times already. What is it? Cannolis are an Italian, and more specifically Sicilian dessert. I am half Sicilian, so this is my jam, my culture, my love. This is what I used to make with my Sicilian auntie growing up for Christmas. We would make cannolis from scratch. So it's definitely a Christmas treat. It's got a big place in my heart, so much so that I had cannolis at my wedding instead of wedding cake. So that's how much I'm team cannoli. So we're doing it today. We are actually gonna start with one of the end pieces real quick and work on a little garnish that we're gonna do to dip the cannolis in. So cannolis are a fried tube of dough filled with a creamy ricotta filling, and the ends are usually dipped in nuts and or chocolate. We are gonna make real quick a little candied pistachio that we're gonna dip one end of our cannolis in. So I've got a pan here and I'm adding in sugar, just a little bit of salt, and some water. This is gonna be our mixture for our pistachios. I have some shelled pistachios here, and this is what is going to be dumped in here and get a little candied. We're gonna saute it in the sugar mixture real quick for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna spread out on our sheet pan. And I have my oven set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So a low heat, we're not roasting these. We're just kind of drying these out and getting a little color on them. And it'll be almost like a little bit of a brittle that we're gonna cut up. If you do not wanna make A candied version of this, you absolutely can just have pistachios chopped up. We always did walnuts growing up. That was the one that my nanny did. Some people can do whatever flavor you want. If you're trying to encapsulate what Italian desserts are, it's either tasting like nuts, almond paste, pistachios, anise or fennel, and candied citron. That's like the major flavor profile that I'm used to growing up with. Not bad. It's just that's the vibes. So you absolutely can switch out the pistachios from any other nuts that you want. I'm just getting the sugar.
Pistachios salted?
Yeah, I would admit the salt that I just added in here if you're using salted pistachios. Although, I mean, I'm a total salt muggy. I love salt, but that might be a little salty. So I'm just bringing this here, dissolving that sugar, and then bringing it down to lower heat, and then adding in my pistachios. Again, if you don't want them candied, you can absolutely just have them roasted. I would roast them before chopping because roasting really brings out the natural oils that are in the pistachios and will add a depth of toasted nutty aroma. It'll kind of intensify that flavor. So just adding these, we're just gonna go for a couple of minutes here, kind of getting a little, we're gonna thicken the syrup and then we'll spread it out. I love pistachios. One thing you can make with pistachios that I don't think enough people know about is pesto. Pistachio pesto is really, really good. Have you done, you gave me like, oh,
good.
What? Yeah. Yeah, pistachios are very common in Italian cooking. You'll see them in a lot of especially around this time of year, holiday breads. So they really come around, pop up in all sorts of different desserts. Biscotti, if you've ever made that, that's a very popular cookie to make right now. I made cannoli cookies this weekend, which are Italian cookies that are almond paste. You use almond paste and make a little dough, and then you press it in pine nuts and cook them, and they're just like the best. Again, a lot of that toasted nut almond flavor in Italian desserts. The vibes are real. So I'm gonna give this about 1 more minute, and then we're gonna spread it on our sheet. And that's our first one done. That's our first topping.
We had an interesting little question here. Are there savory cannolis?
I'm sure there is a Michelin star restaurant out there making some sort of savory cannoli. Not to my knowledge, that being traditional, but again, who knows, right? There's someone somewhere. Sicily is a rock off the boot of Italy. Everyone's invaded it. Everyone's like, I'll go there for a couple of years. Let me stop by, check it out. So there could be a savory cannoli somewhere, but cannolis, as I know them, are a dessert. I could see you doing, because we're here in the Pacific Northwest, vibes with like a cheese and smoked salmon and caviar or something. But you said that, I instantly had a rage in my core that got turned off. Like, I feel a burning pit in my stomach. So, but you can do it if you want to play. There's creativity, but these are Christmas to me. These and pizzelles, which are a little anise flavor wafer cookie that you put the dough in a little waffle iron almost. It's like making a waffle cone, and they look like snowflakes. So we would make cannolis and we would make pizzelles on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and it was the best. Okay, check it. We got our candy nuts here, beautiful. 300-degree oven. Chef Kat's gonna keep an eye on those for us, about between 10 to 15 minutes. We just wanna get a little color on them. And definitely put some parchment underneath, because that is gonna be much needed. So I'm gonna move over to here. Let me make sure we've got all the vibes. We're gonna work on our next part, which is the filling. The most important part, my favorite part. So, ricotta cheese. A lot of people know ricotta from lasagna. It's the cheese that's often used in lasagna. If a lasagna isn't using a creamy bechamel sauce, it'll use ricotta. Because I grew up making cannolis every year, I know ricotta as the cannoli filling cheese. So the most important thing, you can find it refrigerated where all the other cheeses are. Most grocery stores carry them. I challenge you to look out if there's a local dairy supplier making ricotta, because everyone could be making their own kind of version of it of your local farms. It's a great way to know your local dairy farms. The most important thing, two things, most important to know about the ricotta. One, whole fat. This is not a time for skim. This is not a time to like watch the calories. We want all the fat. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If I ever got a face tattoo, it would be all the fat. It's the belief I believe in most in life, all the fat, you guys. So you need, for mouthfeel, for the creaminess, for the texture, you need whole milk ricotta. And then the second thing here is, you can see my cheese is in a little strainer. The night before, yesterday, I put this cheese in here to drain. You can see here in the bowl, do you see that liquid left over? We do not want that in our filling, because we are gonna make a dough and fry it, and we're gonna have this crispy shell. And if ricotta filling is too wet, it's gonna ruin that textural experience of biting into a crunchy cannoli with a creamy filling. It's gonna go soggy really quick. So we want this liquid out. Can you make this filling if you forgot to drain? Absolutely. But be prepared for that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna get soggier fast. So I'm gonna throw this into the bowl. If you didn't do this, a quick way to do it is lie some paper towels out on a sheet pan and spread your ricotta on that and just press it down with some paper towels. Paper towels are really absorbent. There's a great way that I could just get some of that liquid. It won't get all of it like you would draining overnight, but it's a quick way to get some of it out. So I've got that here, this delicious ricotta cheese and some powdered sugar. I'm gonna mix these two together. Now, ricotta can be a little grainy. I don't mind it, but I know that for the filling of cannolis, it is a preference to have that really kind of like creaminess, and you don't want any grit. So you can put this in a food processor. You can put this in a stand mixer with a whisk attachment, or even the paddle, to try to kind of really whip it into submission. Another way here too is I have an immersion blender. I can take my immersion blender and just give it a little bit of a mix here and just kind of really try to get it smooth. Just a couple mixes. That will also get any lumps from the powdered sugar out. So it's up to you. This is just a preference on the final texture. I like giving it a little pulse myself. You do you. So I'll put this to the side here. We have some vanilla. You can also use vanilla bean paste if you want. We have some orange zest. A big thing in Sicily, or in Italy, you have that flavor in desserts of nuts. You have that anise flavor, candied citrus. Like I said, everyone's kind of been to Sicily, been to that rock. There's been a huge time in Sicily's history where there's Arab influence, and you got things like pistachios, cinnamon, and a candied citrus technique, which I think is beautiful. It's so cool that all these people have been there and have left their culinary influences. So that kind of citrus flavor is very common to cannolis. I've also used candied citrus peel and diced it up and used that. It's kind of one of those things where anytime we do a dish from another region of the world, based on whose house you're at, what region of the town, you're going to get little differences. And that's okay. That's a great thing. So we'll get a little bit of that citrus in here. Tap it out. And all the essential oils in the zest have just been released. So that's divine.
We've got a little question here.
Let me hear it.
Is ricotta the more traditional filling, or is mascarpone also a traditional filling, or is it
ricotta is the traditional filling.
Combination.
Ricotta is. You can add mascarpone, which you might know from. It's like an Italian version of cream cheese, what you might know from tiramisu. You can do half and half. Some places do that, but all ricotta is the more traditional. I've even seen some places, not very traditional, make cannolis with cream cheese. Look, all the cheese is good. I'm very pro cheese. I'm team cheese. I've always been very vocal about that in my life. But for me, cannolis mean ricotta. And can be cow or sheep, but traditional like ricotta from Italy, from Sicily, is going to be sheep's milk. So I have some chopped up chocolate in here, and then a little addition that's not in the recipe, but that's my personal favorite that I have to have in cannoli filling is a pinch of cinnamon. I always have to have a little pinch of cinnamon in there. So that's our cannoli filling. Beautiful, gorgeous chocolate, a little cinnamon. All of that zest is so vibrant right now. This is a huge debate in my house. If chocolate and citrus go together, it does. It 1,000% does. There's some people who are not believers yet, but it does. I get a look every Christmas. You know those chocolate oranges that you like slam on the counter and it goes into wedges? I've always got those in my stockings. I love those. And I get some sneers. I've gotten some sneers from the hubby, who is not a chocolate and citrus person.
You've got folks agreeing with you in the chat.
We're team chocolate citrus, right? That's a good combo. Chocolate dipped candied citrus orange pill is like one of my favorite things. Okay, I've got a little pastry bag with a very white tip in it. Now you can use a spoon and spoon these in, but I really prefer, it makes it a little easier.
I feel like the piping bag is the way to go here.
It's a little easier.
Also help with the mess too.
If you see any videos or photos from the shops, they have huge bags of filling, some of them hanging from the ceiling where you pull them down and fill and they go. Like, it's an operation, y'all. So I've got this in here. You need a wide enough tip, otherwise these chunks of chocolate are gonna get stuck in there. And if you don't have chunks of chocolate, I just chop this chocolate myself. You could get mini chocolate chips. My nanny used to do those too. So I've got my filling ready to go. Boom. How we doing, y'all?
We're doing
How's it going?
pretty
Do we have any
good.
questions about the filling?
Was that chocolate like just a dark chocolate?
I like dark chocolate. I think that plays off the flavors of everything really well, but it's honestly whatever percentage is your jam. I'm a dark chocolate girl anyways. A lot of times the mini chocolate chips will be semi-sweet. So whatever your vibe is, guys, it'll work. I just want to use like white chocolate in this. Okay. So I'm going to do one last garnish, and then we'll get to the dough, and it'll be all dough all the time. We'll do this up here. Actually, you know what? This guy's gonna start beeping at me. I'm gonna do it over here. He doesn't like when we put stuff on the stove. All right, this is just a little, like we said, how important citrus is. We have a little citrus sugar we're making. So I have some sugar in my bowl. I'm gonna take 2 oranges. Again, don't get the white part, just get the outside. The white part is the pith, and it's bitter, and we don't want the bitterness. We just want that outside. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've been saying it all December. A zester, a microplane, is a great stocking stuffer. If you have any chefs in your life, it grates chocolate, it grates cheese, it grates citrus, it grates spices. It doesn't take up a lot of space in your kitchen.
Chef Jenny, I think it's time to check on our pistachios.
Oh my goodness, this is very exciting. Can you smell the citrus from over there, Chef Cat?
Definitely smell it. It smells so good.
It is, yeah.
Zesting a citrus fruit is always a good time.
I mean, I feel like I just lit aromatherapy candle in here. Let's see, how's our nut? Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, to camera, let's see if we can see here. And that's it. You can just see it's kind of a bubbling sugar. It's not like dark caramelly, but it's definitely firmed up. It's not syrupy. So that is going to be, this is our, gonna let this cool and chop it up, and that will be one of the ends of our, that we dip our cannoli in. Candied cherries can be one of the ends on a cannoli. We always did mini chocolate chips and then chopped walnuts. I always have to have one of each. It's kind of build your own adventure. I like all the stuff. Again, we were just staying in that nuts, chocolate, citrus, candied fruit vibes.
So I have a question about cannolis because I didn't really grow up eating them.
You mean in Hawaii?
Yeah.
What are cannoli? Fair. Really, really fair.
The toppings are on the sides, on the ends?
On the ends. So you dip them on the ends. It's like a decorative flourish that the cream's dipped in. So you have this textural experience of the crunchy shell, the creamy filling, and then you have those little bits at the end. My nani always used to, she pulverized the walnuts. They were finely ground. These pistachios were just gonna rough cut, but again, every house is different, but the chocolate is a really, really popular one. You'll see that all over the place. All right, so 2 oranges. Now, with my hands are gonna smell so good after this. I'm just gonna use my hands to rub that citrus in the sugar, because the sugar with the granules is gonna shear the citrus, and it's even gonna extract more oils out of it. You can already see the sugar is turning orange. Oh, it's releasing all of the essential oil, so it feels like someone just lit a citrus candle. It smells so holiday in here. It's also very relaxing to do. May the sugar citrus sharing be your moment of zen for the day. There you go. If you have to go wrap presents, finish final meetings for work before office is shut down, just watch me rub citrus in my hands and let that be your moment of peace for the day. And then I'm gonna add this to my pan. Running a space back here. And then I'm gonna spread it out and leave it to dry for about an hour on the counter. This is going to evaporate some of the moisture and then just kind of dry it out. And then after that time, I can crumble it up, and that will be one of my dips for the end. So we've got citrus, we've got pistachios, we've got our ricotta filling, whole milk ricotta. How we doing? We doing good out there?
Good.
Any questions? Any questions for Savor? Remember, put them in the chat. We're so lucky to have them here today. All right, it's dough time. Are we ready? This is the fun part. Now it's all dough all the time. So we're getting into my favorite part.
It's dough time.
It's dough time. I mean, honestly, the bit that's getting fried is going to be the best part. The cheese is the best part, but also the fry. This is why
crunchy fried dough.
All right, I've got some all-purpose flour here. We're gonna make this really flavorful dough, and we're gonna roll it out really thin. And then there's these things here called cannoli shells. They're little metal tubes. You can buy them at any kitchen supply store. You can order them online. I have legit seen them hanging in a grocery store before. So it makes me happy to see cannolis be popular. Yes, I see a few cannoli shells there. Put them up, people. Love to see it. Yes, they're not that expensive. They're easily able to find. They're metal tubes that can be fried. So we're gonna roll the dough around them and fry them, and then the dough shell slides off, and we've got our little form to put pipe our filling in. So I've got all-purpose flour here. I've got some sugar. I've got some salt. The reason we're doing all-purpose is because it's got right down the middle the perfect protein amount. If we have too few protein, that's like pastry flour, the dough's gonna fall apart when we try to pull it off the shell. If we go something higher protein, like bread flour, the shell isn't gonna be tender and flaky. It's gonna be way too tough. So all-purpose is the right amount here. I've got some unsalted butter, not a lot. If you have a pastry cutter, you can use that. But I'm just gonna use a fork here and kind of cut this butter into the dough. I'm just pressing, trying to make it kind of little pieces into the dough. It's not as much as you would have in a dough like a pie crust. It's just a little bit of fat to add some tenderness and flavor to this dough. And if you wanted to try a little salted, that's absolutely okay. But then I would just omit the amount of salt that we just added to the flour. So you can always use salted butter if you got it in baking. Just omit your salt in the recipe or adjust it. You can see it's kind of just broken up in little pieces here. Just sheared little pieces. Again, we've got ricotta filling, we've got fried dough, and we've got butter in the dough. Does everyone see why I'm so much team cannoli? This is all my favorite food groups in one dessert.
Could you grate the butter into the flour and incorporate it that way?
You could grate it. We just don't want it so small that it dissolves. We do want a little texture in there, but you could absolutely grate it in. We're not trying to get so much lamination like you would with a biscuit or a rough puff pastry. That's when you usually grate fat in. You could also absolutely do this in a food processor. This would be a great bit to do in a food processor.
And if somebody doesn't have cannoli tubes, is there something that they can use to substitute?
Honestly, it's a pretty hard one to do. You need cannoli tubes. You need cannoli tubes, and you do kind of need to fry this dough. I was thinking some of you might ask if you can put it in the air fryer on the tubes. You can try. I've never done it, so I can't give you any guarantees, but you can try it out. I would maybe spray the outside with at least some...
With like a neutral oil.
Like a neutral oil on the
something.
outside, yeah.
That would be an interesting experiment.
But, again...
We're here for the deep fried dough.
Yeah, fun. Okay. I've got a little wine here. A sweet fortified wine. I'm doing Marsala. You can do sherry. Marsala is the typical one. If not, you can do a dry wine, like a dry white wine. So like a Pinot Grigio or I wouldn't do an overly sweet Chardonnay, but kind of one a little more acidic on there. But I like the flavor that comes from either sherry or Marsala. The typical one is Marsala, and that's the one I really like. There's two reasons we're adding it. We're adding it for flavor, and then I'm just going to start mixing this up. We add the wine for flavor, but we're also adding it because if you think about protein strands, that's what in flour and doughs makes dough tough. That's gluten is the protein strands. Alcohol will kind of karate chop those protein strands apart and give you a more tender dough. Some of you might have a pie crust in your repertoire, or a family member does, that has vodka in the recipe. That's the same principle. You add a little bit in so that you can karate chop those protein strands to make a more tender dough. So this wine is doing a couple of things for us: flavor and tenderness. So I'm just getting it a little moist, and now I'm gonna, with my hands, dump it on the board and mix it by hand.
Could you bake this dough? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Chef.
No, I knew this question was coming. I knew it was coming. You can do it. It's just not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same texture. It's not going to be the same effect. You absolutely can do it. Same principle as the air fryer. I would do it like on 375, 400 degrees, and I would spray the tops with a neutral oil. But I am team frying. Will always be team fry. Someone make me a shirt that says team deep fry. I am there. So I'm just kneading this dough. This isn't like bread dough where we're kneading this for 10 minutes. You need bread dough because you're actually trying to develop gluten. I'm just trying to get this hydrated and get this smooth and kind of out of the shaggy stage. We're gonna let it rest for at least half an hour, but I even recommend wrapping it and putting it in the fridge for 2 hours. That way it will hydrate. And as it hydrates, it'll get smoother. So you can already see I'm kind of at that smooth stage. And I'm even getting a little sticky here, so that's good. So I'm gonna let it sit, wrap it up in some plastic wrap, and let it sit in the fridge. I would do this for 2 hours. You can do it the night before, but sometimes doughs with eggs will get a little kind of gray tint to it. So you can do it, but I would maybe make sure to roll it out first thing in the morning if you were gonna do it. So we have a swap out dough. So that's it. It's a very simple dough. We just got it to where it's smooth and cohesive and wrapped it up, and then we're gonna let it rest minimum half an hour. I'd recommend at least 2 in the fridge. If not, you could absolutely go longer than that, up to, I'd say, maybe 12 hours. Any questions about that?
We have a little question about the cannoli tubes.
Yeah.
Are there different sizes to them, or is it all one standard size?
They're usually one standard size. How you can adjust the size on them is by how big of a ring you do. So we're gonna roll out the dough very thin and then cut circles out of it. The smaller the circle, the smaller the cannoli is gonna be. So as long as you can kind of pinch it around the dough, you don't have to take up this whole size. So the larger it's all based on how big or large you cut it. There's some restaurants that do cannolis this big. It's like a pie crust circle that they fry. I don't know what that is, but that's not a cannoli. Cannoli has to be like a handheld size. You can definitely do minis and do smaller. My family, my Italian side is my mom's side. And they hail from Queens and Albany, New York. And they moved, my grandmother, who's already in her 60s, they moved out to California in the 70s. So she was exposed to all this produce and all this culture and all these ingredients on the West Coast. And I'm gonna call her out here, but I thought it was genius. Sometimes when she didn't want to make dough, what she would do was get the wonton wrappers that were sold at the grocery store in San Diego, the wonton wrappers, and use those instead of the dough and fry them and fill them, which kind of like egg roll wrappers, which kind of bubble up because they have egg in it like cannoli dough. Is it cannoli dough? No. Was it a smart hack? I kind of think so. So you can see tradition just means whatever whatever you grew up with. And that was definitely something that I grew up with sometimes when she just wasn't feeling making dough from scratch. I kind of think it's pretty smart, but you do you. We definitely love making the dough from scratch, but she was an amazing cook, and her doing that feels like it gave me permission to do whatever cheat codes you need to do. So we've got here our cannoli molds. I have a couple of round cutters. Use whatever ones you can find. Somewhere between 4 and 5 inches is what we're looking for. I've got my oil here that I'm just starting to heat. What really is important for frying is to do a high smoke point. That means above 375 degrees, neutral oil. When I say neutral, it means we don't want an oil that's going to impart a ton of flavor. My favorite, which is easiest and I always have at home, is canola oil, vegetable oil, but everyone's got their favorite one. This is just, I wouldn't use olive oil for this. I wouldn't use a finishing oil. You need a high smoke point oil. I highly recommend for frying at home a food thermometer, heat safe food thermometer. Because the trick to frying is it's never going to remain one temp. So it's going to go high and then it's going to go low, and you're always trying to maintain a little bit. So you're turning it up and then you're turning it down. You don't know how hot your oil is unless you have a thermometer. So whenever I deep fry at home, I always have a thermometer. We are looking for somewhere between 350 and 375 degrees. That's kind of our prime goal. And then I have a station set up. You can absolutely line this with paper towels, but I've got a rack to drain them. I use a spider and a tongs to help. If you're just using tongs, sometimes it slips and it claps and can splatter oil. So I find the combination of the two is really good. So you can, okay, this guy's gonna be fun with me. Just a second. You can roll this out with a rolling pin. You can roll this out with a wine bottle if you don't have a rolling pin. But I have found the easiest hack is to use a pasta roller. And then for our stand mixer here, they actually make attachments for it. It is the easiest thing I found to get the dough thin enough. But again, you can use a rolling pin. We're looking for a really thin dough here, like you would be making pasta. So you almost want to be able to see your hand underneath it. That's what we're looking for. So I've got my dough here. And I'm just going to put it a little flour down. We do not want to stick the dough to be too sticky going through a pasta roller. So it's okay to put some flour on this. And I might cut this guy in half. I'll wrap up the other half. This is half a dough. So I would say one whole recipe of dough, I would cut it into 4s. Just keep your dough wrapped that you're not currently using. So I'm going to try to get this into a rectangle and feel your dough. If you feel any stickiness, put some flour over it. And then go to the lowest number on your pasta roller. Mine's a 1 here. So that's my lowest one. And I'm just going to roll my dough through this. Again, if you're using a rolling pin, you just want to get it really thin. So I would start with a quarter of dough at a time. And I'm going to dust more with flour. And then you pull out the knob on the side with the markings on it. And now I'm going up to number 2. The higher you go on a pasta roller, the thinner your dough is getting. But you have to start at the lowest setting and do it gently, otherwise your dough tears. And if your dough is sticky, it'll get stuck in there and tear as well. So I'm flouring it well, and then now I'm going on 3. I'm going to go between 5 and 6 setting on this. And just putting my dough through. Again, this dough has rested. If you tried to do this dough right away, it would be really sticky. It also would snap back. So it'd be too elastic. So you do have to let it rest. Now I'm on 4. I'm just going through.
Could you kind of describe the feeling of the dough?
It's thin. It's getting thinner. It's a little moist, but it's not sticky. The dough is not sticky. You don't want it going through sticky. That means you need a little more flour. And then we're on 5 here. And I think this is probably where I'm going to stop. I just want to show you all, if I can bring this close with my dough. If you can get in the camera. Can you see how you see my hands through it? Can you see that my hands? That's how thin you need it. If you can't see your hands through, that means it's too thick. So I'm actually going to put it down here, a little flour just so it won't stick. But check my oil here. All right, so we want our oil between 350. If your oil is too hot, this dough will puff up a ton, especially because it has that egg in there. It makes it bubbly and really puffy. If it's too cold, it's just going to absorb all the oil. You're going to have a really greasy cannoli shell. So it's that balance between not being raw and greasy, but also not being burnt and too puffy. It's a delicate dance. We're going to give ourselves plenty of space here to forgive ourselves. I've got a little egg white here. I'm going to use that as my glue. So if you could see here, I'm going to cut some rounds. And you can reuse these dough scraps, but I would roll out all the rest of your dough first, because otherwise the dough scraps are going to be a little too elastic. They should rest for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Does this feel like fresh pasta dough?
Yes, it's filled. I don't know how to describe it to you.
It looks a little bit softer.
It's softer. If you've ever made a cinnamon roll dough or an enriched dough compared to bread dough, it feels softer. We have fat in here. We have egg and we have butter. So that makes doughs, enriched doughs, just feel a little softer. So it almost feels like a little bit how you would a cinnamon roll dough. And get one more here, good scrape. And they might shrink back a little, that's okay. Like I said, you don't have to throw out your scraps, but just let them rest, re-roll them, let them rest for about 15 minutes. So I've got my little circles here. And the way we're going to do this is we take a circle. We've got our mold down. I put one side up. Don't go so tight that you're not going to be able to get this off. But you don't want it so loose that it's going to fall off. So I'm going to press it down with my egg white. But you see that it's still a little loose underneath. There's still some space. You don't want it so tight that you're not going to be able to get this off. And please be kind to yourselves. It's really a trial and error kind of thing. You know how there's the first pancake that's always burnt? You're going to have a first cannoli shell that's a little wonky, and that's okay. Okay, it's 2. This one, I would eat these in 30 seconds. My serving is roughly like 8. There is no listener. I give myself permission because it's the holidays. I just go. Press here. And then our last one. And usually the molds, you can get 10, 12. You can do a bunch, line them up. We're just doing 4 at a time here because we don't want to fry them all on camera. And look at that. They're so cute. So that's how you put them around. I wouldn't line these all up and put them in the fridge and fry them later. You can let them sit for like 20 minutes, but you don't want the shell mold cold. You actually kind of want to do this as in the moment. But this is really good at the holidays to do an assembly line. I feel like a lot of holiday dishes are assembly lines where everyone works together. So I'm just going to kick up my oil here, temp, because we're looking for 350. I like frying in a cast iron or enameled cast iron because it holds the heat really well. If you've ever seen online pictures of people deep frying turkeys, you quickly understand about volume and understanding volume displacement. When you fry, you do not put the oil right to the top because when we add our product in, it's gonna rise up the oil. So I always like a good headspace with my oil. I definitely do not want it so hot or so full that when I add my cannoli shells in, it spills over the side. And whenever I fry, I always have a lid nearby because if something sparks, I can smother the flame and put the lid on. Do not ever put water on a grease fire. You learn that very quick. Oh, Chef Kat, the look you just gave. You learn that real fast in working in kitchens.
You sure do.
You sure do, right? Yeah. So, just gonna rise this oil a little bit. What questions do we have out there? How are we doing? Does this seem logical to everyone? Does this feel like we can do? I know we went through that a little bit quick. How's it going, Chef Kat?
We're doing pretty good here.
We kind of just digesting everything that's happening.
Yeah.
This is the point where I'm sure some people are like, you know, I'm just going to buy egg roll wrappers and call it a day. And I hear that. I see you and I hear you, and that's okay. Chef Kat and I were talking about our holiday traditions before. A lot of Italians do the Feast of the Seven Fishes, like Christmas Eve, the day before, where you do all these seafood dishes. But because I'm half Mexican and half Sicilian, we always did tamales on Christmas Eve. So I get the best of both worlds. Tamales on Christmas Eve, cannolis on Christmas Day, not too shabby. Also, I kind of grew up in a landlocked area, and you don't really want to get all the fish. I'm just, you know, you grew up in Hawaii, Chef Kat. You had all the fish.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, every holiday dinner, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would make sushi with my grandma. I would make traditional...
That was your cannolis. I mean, you're rolling it up, yeah.
Like, maki-style sushi.
Oh, that at Thanksgiving actually sounds incredible. Oh, that's the one you did with your grandma. Good. Do you still do it for the holidays? Make
She's
sushi?
gotten older now, so I haven't been able to do it with her, and that by the fact that I also
make
haven't
it
been
for
home,
us here at Homemade. We want sushi, Kat.
Fair enough.
Okay, good. I put the request in. All right, my oil's at temp now. Know that when you add your ingredients in, it is going to dip the oil temp. So I'm just gonna lightly add these in. If my oil is too hot with cannolis, it will actually puff up so much that they might puff up off of the mold. That's okay. It's like a first pancake kind of thing, okay? You can see them getting really puffy. It takes a while for oil to just get in that zone. These are getting puffy, but that first oil is always gonna be a little hot. You get the kind of crispiest, most uneven cannolis that first time. Is there anything better than watching dough fry? It's so meditative. So I'm keeping an eye on my oil right now, knowing if I need to turn it up or not. Again, somewhere between 350, 375. We're getting there. So I'm just gonna turn this up. That is why it's nice to make cannolis in a little assembly line. You can have someone rolling and cutting, someone adhering them to the mold, and then someone over here in charge of frying. It's a team effort. Just turn them. There's always going to be a hotter side in the pan versus cold side. That puff is beautiful. That puff we're getting from the egg, getting from that little bit of that wine evaporating off. It smells incredible in here. It smells like a summer carnival, like a summer fair. My hair is definitely going to smell like fat on the ride home. I'm not mad about it. but I am prepared, like the car around 20 minutes and it's gonna smell like a carnival. Kind of like that funnel cake vibes, you know? We're getting here. And again, Chef Kat has linked the information to Savor in the chat if any of you want to check it out. We're going for about 2 minutes in here. You want a golden brown. You don't want it to be too light. It's kind of a magical thing when you take it out of the oil that it does all of a sudden get a little darker as it sits. And it smells so good. Chef Kat, how are we doing out there?
We are doing
We're
pretty
doing good?
Oh, we've got a question from Lena here.
Lena, yes.
I will unmute.
How's it going, Lena?
I'm a little bit behind because my dough fell apart.
You're okay. There's no such thing as behind. You're right where you're supposed to be.
I'm redoing it.
Okay.
You did number 5, right? And then?
Yeah, I went to number 5.
Okay. And then you put little egg wash. Where did you put it?
I used egg white. I used a little whisked up egg white, and I just took my finger. I didn't put a ton. I just dotted my finger in the egg white. And then right as the seams meet down here, right where the seams meet, I put a little dash of egg white right there. And then I pressed to make them kind of seal them.
Okay. But did you put more flour on the thing?
Yeah, as I was rolling, and I'm just going to, real quickly, and I'm just going to show people, as I'm taking these out, I use the spider to hold it, and then I tip it out to get that excess oil out of the tube. Yeah, so I used flour on the dough as I was putting it through the pasta roller just because I don't want to stick. So you use your hands, and each time you roll out that sheet, feel with your hands the dough. If it's a little bit sticky, put flour on it. Otherwise, it's going to get caught in your pasta roller.
That's what happened.
And that's okay. You're going to fill it with ricotta and smother it in powdered sugar. It's going to be delicious.
How does the wonton skin taste compared to using the dough this way? Just
The dough has more flavor, but it gets really crispy, so you do have a really crispy texture. So in a pinch, you can do it. No judgment. You do you, Lena. I'm so impressed and proud that you're doing this with us. Good job. You're doing great.
Thank you.
I promise you your dough is right where it's supposed to be. No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Happy holidays. Okay, I'm going to take my tongs and then hold it and just slide my cannoli shell off. Do not touch these metal tubes. You're gonna get a branded hand like Home Alone, okay? That's how hot this is. Do not touch the tubes. I'm just sliding it off, and there we go. There's our tubes. And you just keep going and going and going. I'm gonna bring over here, slide over and bring my remaining toppings. I fried some shells ahead of time because I knew watching me just stand here and fry dough is not the most exciting thing in the world. So we have our ricotta filling. I have a little tray here. And then we have our toppings. I have some chopped chocolate, our pistachios, our citrus sugar, which you can see is all dried out, and some powdered sugar. And then we're gonna fill these bad boys. I'm just gonna rinse my hands. Now, if you're doing this right now and you said, thinking to yourself, Chef Jenny, these are all breaking off the mold, that absolutely happens. You're gonna have some that break off. That is part of making cannolis. You're gonna have some like this that are so puffy that they almost become a chip. Keep this is delicious. Put some ricotta, this is if your oil's too hot, it'll puff up off the roll. Put some ricotta filling in the center and call it Italian chips and dip and put it out. Do never apologize to anyone for making them scratch-made cannolis, all
There
right?
was someone in the chat earlier who said that they saw like cannoli chips and
Yes.
ricotta dip in the grocery store.
You can if disaster happens and your dough just falls off these molds, tell people you're bringing chips and dip and call it a day. My number one rule is never apologize. It's always what it's supposed to be, okay? Now you can see here, I use 2 different molds, 2 different round cutters. This is a smaller one, if you can kind of see here, and this one's a bigger one. So the bigger ones are just gonna give you bigger size. I've got my filling here, and here's how we do this, okay? So I got my mold, I fill one side, I go to the other side. Woo, that happens. Got my other side. I come over here to my toppings. I've got my chopped up sugared pistachios. I've got my citrus sugar. And there's my mold. Let me try another one here because I'm gonna go, you custom order this one, Chef Kat. What ends do you want?
Honestly, I want all the toppings. Just
Okay.
give me all the toppings.
Okay, we're just gonna do
I
a
want
little of
the
this,
whole experience.
and a little of that, and a little of that, and a little of this. This one's yours, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay, a little bit of that. And look at this cute little guy. Let's see, which one do I want to do? I want this guy. That's a really good size. I like that one. I am gonna do chocolate on one side and the pistachios on the other. And that one is a nod to my Nani, who's no longer with us, but for sure with me in spirit as I make these today. And that was always what we did, was nuts and chocolate. And then last bit, you take your powdered sugar and you dust it over and just smother it into submission, okay? And that is Italian cannolis. I hope you enjoy these. I hope you're making them right now. I'm gonna bite into mine. I'll leave yours for you, Chef Kat, the Neapolitan one that got all of them. Cheers to you all. I hope you're doing good. I hope your cannoli making's going okay. I can see all of you. You look like you're doing great. You ready for the crunch? Let's see if we get a good crunch. Can you hear it? It's pretty crunchy, you guys. I'm at a 10. I'm so happy right now. This is my entire childhood. This was my wedding. This is every happy moment in my life is with cannolis. I'm just like about to cry. I'm so happy right now, you guys. This is the food of my people and my food of my heart. So I hope you're enjoying it. Cheers to you all. I'm so happy for you.
We have one last question.
Please, let me hear it.
How would you store these? And well, it's 2 questions. And how far in advance can you make them?
You gotta pipe them when they're ready to go. Maybe an hour max. The longer it sits with that cream in there, the soggier it gets. You have to store them refrigerated. They're not inedible the next day. You have to keep them refrigerated to store them, but that shell is gonna be very soft. Still good. It's still dough and it's still creamy ricotta filling, but this is really something you kind of have to enjoy to order. You gotta pipe them and then eat them. So keep them covered and store in the refrigerator, but just know you're gonna lose that crunch. That's okay, though. Still delicious, right, Chef Kat?
Absolutely.
I've eaten way worse than a soggy cannoli, trust me, okay? So it's fine. We want to thank Savor. Thank you so much for sponsoring this class and being our friends today and for this beautiful recipe. Again, check out their site and their Instagram. Thank you to Chef Kat for managing the chat. Thank you to all of you for coming. We're all Italian today. You're all a little bit Sicilian today. Congratulations. It's a huge day for you. Tomorrow, I am teaching at 1 p.m. charred duck breast. Chef Joel at 4 p.m. is teaching ultimate surf and turf with filet mignon and shrimp. So big day tomorrow, 2 classes. Hope to see you there. And next time, friends, keep on cooking. Manja, everyone. Bye.